Hello and welcome to my art studio. My name is Miriam. Happy New Year. Hopefully you had a very nice Christmas and a Happy New Year. I thought for this first video in the new year we should paint a winter scene together. I will guide you step by step and show you how I do it in watercolor and also how I paint snow and so on. So yes, there's much to look forward to. But let's get started. So here you see the colors we're going to use today. Manganese blue, Paynes Gray, Undersea green, Perylene green, Dioxadine purple and Quinacridone gold. To begin with, I make a very light sketch. I'm just sketching in where the mountain is and some of the large trees, and also where the lake is in the bottom of the painting. Next, I wet the whole paper. I'm using a very large brush to do that. This is a size 12 brush that contains a lot of water. And then I begin to drop in the yellow color where the sun is. And I'm dragging out the paint in different directions, like when you see the sunshine. Then I add a very watery mix of some orange as well. And here I go in with a damp clean brush, and then I lift off some of the paint where the sun is. So that will be almost completely white. Then I go around it with some of the yellow color. And I'm working with quite watery mixes of color because I don't want too much color to begin with. And here I'm dabbing off a little bit of the yellow color again with some paper towel. Now I'm using a smaller brush to make the sunbeams, I believe it's called. And it's a damp brush, and I clean it in my paper towel, and then I take off color. Now I have switched to a larger brush. This is a size 6 brush, and then I do the same thing again. I really want that sunshine or the sunbeams to be visible. And here I go in with the blue color for the sky. And this is quite a watery mix as well. I want to start the painting light. And I'll add more and more colors as we go along with the painting. So I have sped up the video a little bit so it won't be too time consuming. Yeah, so later on the video will slow down so you can follow along. But this first part I chose to speed it up a little bit. And we're still working wet in wet. The paper is still wet. And now I just want some paint on the paper, the base layer you can call it. And I'm also making lines with the blue color into the yellow color so it looks like sunshine. Then I paint in the mountain. I have mixed up a little bit stronger mix to paint in the mountain because it's standing out a little bit from the background. And I paint along the edge, and then I rinse my brush, and then I drag the color down the page. So we will get a nice line. And now the mountain goes down a little bit, and I make sure not to put the blue color into the sun. So where the sunshine is, I go in with the yellow color instead of the blue. And now I'm working at the leg and the bottom of the painting. And yeah, we begin with light layers and then we can build the painting up. And I keep looking at the reference photo to see where there's shadows in the water and so on. So don't want it to be too realistic. I still want it to look like a watercolor painting. And the reference photo is just for inspiration. So yeah. And here I'm working in the foreground of the painting, dabbing in some of the blue colors. And next I want to work on the trees in the forest. So I mix up some green paint. It's still watery, but not as watery as the first layer of paint. And then I just dab color into the paper and I make sure that the blue background shines through because this will be the snow on the tree. So you have to be careful not to put the green color all over the place, but you want to allow the blue color in the background to shine through. And now we are not working wet in wet anymore, we are working wet on dry. I do soften the edge a little bit, the edges a little bit with a damp brush. But again, I'm really mindful that I keep some of the blue color in the background. And it will also be the background trees that has the lightest color. And like before, I'm just dabbing in the color, so we keep some of the blue because it's the snow on the trees. So yeah, it's quite important that you remember that when you're painting like this. We could have used some masking fluid to save the blue areas, but I thought I would show you how to do it without masking fluid. So yeah, so this is the way. And now I'm working more in the foreground, so I have picked up some darker green colors. This is the Perylene green, I believe. And I also dab in the color and I soften it a little bit again with some clean water. Again, mindful that I keep some of the blue. I do want to soften the edges a little bit so it don't look too dotted. So yeah, but yeah, just be careful when you do that. So you keep your highlights. And now I'm just working slow and steady on the painting. And yeah, we will make the painting darker and darker as we go along. We work always in watercolor from light to dark. And here I added a little bit of blue color because I felt it was a little bit too light. So I just add in some dots of blue. Next, I'm mixing up some even darker color to use in the painting. Don't be afraid to use really, really dark colors because it's a good thing to have both very light colors and very dark colors. But here I'm painting in the tree trunks and I do want them to be in quite a dark color. And now I'm adding some shadow areas in under the trees and in between the trees. And I'm using this very dark color, but I use it very carefully because I don't want there to be too many dark places because we still want it to be a snow painting. So yeah, be careful when you use the dark color and make sure you don't put it all over the place. I don't know how it is where you live, but here in Denmark, where I live, we can have some years with a lot of snow and some years where we almost don't have any snow at all. So it can be very different from year to year. But I must admit that those years where we do have snow, it's much easier to get through the winter because it's so dark here in Denmark at winter time. So when there's snow, it's sort of just light up the whole nature and everything outside. So that helps a lot. We don't have many hours with light. Uh, it's worst in December, and then after December we it changes, and then we begin to move towards lighter days, if you can say that. But yeah, that's how it is in Denmark. Yeah, the best days are those days where we have snow and the sun is shining. Then everything is just so bright and beautiful. I really love that, and I hope this painting that we're painting today will show a little bit of that. And here I'm going in under the trees again with a little bit of a darker blue color because there's a lot of shadow in between the trees. So yeah, then of course the snow will have shadow areas. So I'm just painting that in now. And then I'm softening the edges with a clean damp brush. Then I add some paint and then I soften the edges again with a clean brush. And here I'm going in with some of my lighter green colors, just to, what can you say, make something more visible in the background. The background trees, make them a little bit more visible. They were almost disappeared, they had almost disappeared, so I decided to uh, make them show a little bit more. And here I'm also adding a tree trunks, and in the background I'm using lighter colors than I'm using in the foreground because it helps the eye see that it's further back when you do it like that. And I also want the details to be in the front of the painting or in the foreground of the painting. So but what we're doing now is just going in with all the details and just enhancing here and there, looking at the painting and see where it needs a little bit of color, more color, to be a little bit darker and so on. And it's here at this stage you have to be careful not to overwork your painting because that's very easily done. And be careful with your brush strokes. Don't just put your brush everywhere, but think about where you are going with your brush. And here, with my painting completely dry, I go in with my rubber to remove some of my pencil lines from the sun. That did not look very nice, so I removed it. Yeah, and be very careful that your paper is completely dry, or else you will ruin your paper. And here I've mixed up an even darker green, bluish green I would call it, and I go in with little dots here and there to make some more shadow and definition. And I'm very careful. I really want to keep those light areas in the painting, so yeah, be very careful at this stage in the painting. And I will say to you, if you are quite a beginner, that time and practice will help you when it's time to stop working on your painting. It takes some experience, and yeah, of course, there's some people who just know how to do it. Like some people can just sit down and at a piano and then just play it. I'm really amazed by those people who can do that. Most of us other people, we have to practice. And here I'm going in with my size 2 brush. And again, I'm painting in, darkening the tree trunks again with the darker green mixture. And now I have mixed up a darker mix of the blue color, and I'm working on the seashore. This is the edge of the shore, and I'm going in very lightly with my size 2 brush to paint in this edge. And I'm also painting in some more tree trunks here and there. And now I'm working in the foreground of the painting. This is also the lake. I can see some shadow areas on the lake. We both have very dark areas in the lake and very light areas. So I just go in very easily, and then I use another brush to soften the edges. Most of the edges I want to be quite soft, and then I drag the color around a little bit to also create the illusion of it's the tree shadows you can see in the lake. And in the foreground we have a little bit of foliage, I believe you call it. And now I'm painting in the shadows that the trees are making on the snow. It's just some small dots here and there by every tree trunk, because there will always be some shadows in the snow. And here I'm mixing up quite a purple mix, and then I'm just very lightly painting that into the sea. I could see some purple color on the reference photo, so I thought that could be quite pretty to add in the painting. And normally when I put color in one place, I will put it in another place as well to make the painting harmonious. So now I'm painting here in the foreground, and I will probably put some of that purple color into the tree area. Yeah, you see me do that here. Just making some small dots here and there, and again watching out for those very light areas, because this will look appealing in the painting. And now I'm working some more on the shadow areas in the lake. I'm actually just enhancing the colors or making them a little bit darker that I put in before. And yeah, now I'm making some reflections in the sea. And just softening some of the edges. And here I'm dragging out some color. I have some color that's still wet here, and then I drag it out and make grasses. And here I'm painting in the shadows from the trees in the sea. When I paint with watercolors, it's not my intention to make everything look very realistic. I would like my paintings to look like a painting, so I'm trying not to go into too many details and still make it visible that this is a painting. And I do love what you can do with watercolors. And once you learn how to work with watercolors, you can make some amazing paintings. And you know, it's a lifelong journey of learning. I learn new things all the time. So a lot of things come with practice, but it's also a very good idea to watch some other people paint and see how they do it. It can really help you in your own art journey. I do that quite a bit, both to get inspired, but also to learn new things. And here I'm adding in some more shadows on the lake. It's quite a dark color, but not too heavy. It makes a bit watery still. So, and this is my round brush. It's very good for lifting off paint. And I felt like I needed to lift off some paint here and there in between the trees. So I wet my brush and then I sort of rub the paper a little bit. And then I use my paper towel to take off the color. And you can actually get a medium called lift off if you know you like to work like this. You can put that on in the beginning before you start your painting. And then it will be a little bit easier to lift off paint. But I think this works quite well, so. Of course you cannot get the white paper back, but you can make some areas a little bit lighter. But again, be careful not to ruin your paper. Now I have, I'm using my size 2 brush again to make some small lines. Again, it's the reflection from the trees in the sea and also some water reflections or water curves in the sea. It's not completely frozen, this one, so there's a little bit of movement in the water. Yeah, now I'm just adding a little bit of detail here and there. And I'm being very careful, like I said before, not to be too busy with the brush, but yeah, be careful where I put my brush so I don't ruin the whole painting. And I'm adding some more tree trunks in a lighter color because they are further away. And yeah. Now it's time to remove the masking tape. I think the painting is finished now. Sometimes it's a good idea to leave your painting and look at it the next day and just see if you feel something is missing, or perhaps take a picture with your phone and look at that. I do that quite a lot because it really helps me to see if there are any places that needs a little bit of something. So yeah, now I have removed the masking tape and there you have it, the finished painting. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and found it useful. Please give this video a thumbs up and a follow if you want to see more videos from me. Be well and bye for now.